Hello everyone, today we are going to be combining the geometry we've learned so far with a little bit of algebra. So today, as you can see here, we got our nice purple box. We are going to be talking about midpoints and midpoint formulas. So, here at the top, this is as simple as it's going to get. We got our line here, it's a one-dimensional shape. And we got our points A and B, which form line segment AB. And now we want to find the midpoint of this line segment, denoted by M here. And so that location is going to be our numbers A and B added together and divided by 2. Now algebraically, this is a simple equation commonly used to find averages, or the mean. And so we're using our mean to find our middle, to find our midpoint here. And so that's fairly simple. And now we have our second example here where we're adding our second dimension. And here we have it at a bit of a diagonal. And so this may seem a little bit overwhelming at first, but it's well achievable. Because when we have 2 dimensions, we do the same thing as in 1 dimension, but we just have to break it into its parts first. And so here we got the y component, the y part, and so it's the exact same as above except with just the y's. So we got y1 plus y2 divided by 2. We're just taking the average of our y's. Then we have our x's here at the bottom, doing the exact same thing we did with our y's. We have x1 plus x2 divided by 2. It's our average. We have the average of our 2 points on our axes. We follow where they lead, and we get the midpoint on the line segment that's diagonal. 2 dimensions, as easy as 1 dimension. You just have to do the work twice to get it to work, because we just break it up into 2 one-dimensional problems. Now I'm going to use my little whiteboard here, and we're going to work out an example. So we're going to start, we got to first form our axes so we have something to work with. Now note when I'm drawing this, it's not going to be to scale just because it's on a whiteboard, but I'm going to do my best. And so we have some line segment here that we want to find the midpoint. We got point A and point B. And so we look where it intersects the x-axis and the y-axis. And we do the same thing that we did with B to A. And so now, to make this an example problem, we just have to add some numbers. So let's call this point on our x1, this point our y2, we'll call this 5, and this one here for our b, we'll call that 6. So now we go back to the book, we look at our midpoint formula, and our midpoint formula equals, we got our x space and our y space, and we fill it in with the little average formula. So we got x1 plus x2 divided by 2. That will give us our x coordinate. And now we got the exact same thing with our y's. There we have our y average there. And so now what we're going to do, erase x1, find the x1 value. It's 1 right here, let's plug that in. Erase our x2 value. Our x2 value is 6. Plug the 6 in. Now we got our y1 value, which is 2. So as you can see, 1's been corresponding with A, 2 has been corresponding with B. So we got our y1, plug in our 2, our y2, plug in our 5. Now let's work this out, and that equals 2. We got our 7 over 2. 1 plus 6 is 7. That's our x. Now we have our y point. We have 2 plus 5 divided by 2, which just so happens to also equal 7 over 2. And so now if we reduce that to make it a little easier to comprehend what's going on, we have 3.5 by 3.5. So our midpoint should form a nice little square. So our midpoint between 1 and 6, 3.5 is going to be right about here-ish. It's a whiteboard, it's not going to be exact. And then we go over here, 2 and 5, about midway through, we got our 3.5. We do our dots and find our midpoint is about right here. And there we have it. We got our line segment A to midpoint and our line segment midpoint to B. And these, since it's midpoint, it's halfway through, we now have two congruent segments with our midpoint at the center. I hope this was helpful, and I'll be doing more videos like this in the future.